Imagine yourself somebody that loves bass fishing. Well, every bass fisherman's dream is to catch a record-sized largemouth bass. That's being over 10 pounds. That's what I consider a record-sized bass. Well, you're out fishing and you make your first cast and you start reeling it in and you feel that you've got the dream on the end of your line. Well, you get it all the way to the boat and realize that it's not the dream you've been dreaming of. It's 5 largemouth bass and you've caught all of these fish on one single cast. That's what can happen when using an umbrella rig. I've used this castable umbrella rig many times in the past few months and have never once went home empty-handed. Every fishing trip that I've went on, I've asked all the other anglers around me if they use them, and every one of them had one tied to their line, or they had lost the one that they had and couldn't catch fish anymore without it. I'm going to explain what an umbrella rig is, some of the laws and restrictions already set in place on them, and some of the past experiences I've had and why I think they should be banned. An umbrella rig is considered an array of more than 3 artificial baits, with or without hooks, used by any single rod and reel combination. There are many different types of umbrella rigs and castable umbrella rigs on the market today. The first ones made were used by fishermen fishing in the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland for striped bass. They use these lures trolling behind their boat to catch these monster-sized fish. What they look like is a fish head that's made out of lead, and it weighs anywhere from 1 to 4 ounces, and it has from 4 to 6 or 8 wire arms coming out of the back of it with swivels tied to that, and that's where you put your fishing lure. And it doesn't matter what you put, just about anything that you can tie on it would catch fish. Since the invention of the first umbrella rigs, there has been huge variances on the exact design. Mann's Bait Company has created what they call the Alabama rig. This lure they created is something that looks like a small fish head and has 5 small diameter wire arms coming out of the back of it. And on that is a swivel or a crane swivel where you attach your fishing lures. And once again, you can use any type of fishing lure that you think can catch fish. This lure they have created has opened the door to a whole new market, bass fishermen. It's never been thought to use for catching largemouth bass and smallmouth bass. The rig without any lures on it weighs in at 3/8 of an ounce, so now it can be castable among the rods that you already own. So you don't have to go out and buy a new fishing rod just to use this new fishing lure that you've bought. You can find more information on the lure that I'm talking about by going to thealabamarig.com. Since the craze on this new fishing lure, I have seen huge variances to the original Alabama rig. Several lure companies have created their own versions of this castable umbrella rig. These lure companies have all realized the amount of money to be made when Paul Elias won in the Walmart FLW Series tournament, winning him $100,000, making him rich. In my research, I have found a website that sells over 10 different kinds, tacklewarehouse.com, and every one of them is different. No 2 ones are alike. These companies are not the only ones making these types of lures. I've seen a lot of different homemade ones because they're easy to make. They're not very hard. Anybody can make them, and there's a lot of money to be made with them since it's the biggest craze on bass fishing right now. But every person that makes them always puts something different on them to catch everybody's eye that's using them to make them want to buy theirs instead of the other competition. I brought with me today a few different kinds I'm going to show you, and here I have one of the designs that I like to use. It's very lightweight. The head is not made out of lead, so it doesn't sink as fast. It's made out of acrylic, makes it a little bit lighter. I think this whole design here maybe weighs less than 2 ounces. I have another one too when I'm fishing deeper water. Inside of all these small fish, there's a little bit of lead to make it sink faster. And inside the center one, it's a little bit heavier so it doesn't rotate and it doesn't get off balance tied up when I go to cast it. It's used well in any type of water conditions, so it works everywhere. Now that you know what an umbrella rig is, let me explain some of the laws and restrictions already set in place. Each state has specific laws on the use of these type of fishing lures. Out of the 50 states, 37 of the states allow you to only have 3 or less hooks. They don't consider that to be an umbrella rig. 4 states have laws that specifically say no lures are to be used that are designed to catch more than 1 fish at a time. And 15 states allow you to use this fishing lure. 2 of those states, you're not allowed to use it on some bodies of water, but 15 states you can use as many lures that you want at one time. I found a really good article on bassmaster.com that talks about every single state and all the different types of lures that they have. Tennessee defines an umbrella rig as 3 or more hooks or baits on a single rod and reel combination. And if you have more than 3 arms, you can only have a hook on one of the baits, so unless they're size 6 or smaller. Today I brought with me a lure that most people would consider allowed to be used in Tennessee because it only has 3 arms. But really, it can't be used in Tennessee because Tennessee also defines, it says 3 baits. Each one of these is a bait, but they also say specifically that each spinner blade bait is considered to be its own bait. So that makes this have 6 lures, which makes it illegal in Tennessee. So you can use 3 arms, but they can only have 1 lure attached to each arm, not 2 like this one's designed. I'm going to discuss some of my past experiences using this castable umbrella rig and why I think it should be banned. Last time I went fishing with my father-in-law and my friend on another boat, and we left it. Before we left, we decided that we were going to keep our 5 best fish and see what their ending weight was. Well, by the end of the day, I felt like a professional bass fisherman because I had landed so many bass that my arm got tired. I had wore the skin off of my thumb. There was no technique or anything involved using it. I mean, you cast it, you bring it back, and the fish cannot resist it. It looks like a school of fish coming through the water. So there's all these years that you've spent mastering your bass fishing techniques, it's been thrown out the door because it's so easy to use. And professional tournaments have already realized this, and the Bassmaster Classic, which is like the Super Bowl of bass fishing, and the Bassmaster Elite Series, which is the professional level, they've already outlawed it. So why use it now if my prospects of becoming a professional bass fisherman if I can't use it when I get to the top? So I think it should be banned. It shouldn't be, if you don't use it, if you can't use it up there, why should we use it now? In the last 6 months, almost every tournament that I've researched has been won using these. And if not won, they've used it sometime when winning. Again, banning the Alabama rig is the only way to preserve the sport of bass fishing. The Alabama rig is unresistible to fish, which I believe will one day be depleted because of this lure. I'm urging you to take action. Next time you go fishing, do not tie one of these on your line. And other anglers, when you see them using them, let them know what's going to happen in the future if they keep using these fishing lures. 20 years down the road, you'll be able to look back now and know that you made the right decision to not use this fishing lure. And you preserve the fishing for your future bass fisherman buddies. Thank you.